Hi, Venu. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
We'll wait for a couple of minutes for others to join.
Sure. Yep.
Hi, Shiva. Good morning.
Hello.
Okay, let's start. So, okay, let me share my screen. My screen is visible, right? Please do confirm. And I'm audible to all.
We are able to see.
Please, thank you. So I just have a small request. Both of you, did you guys have installed VirtualBox or VMware workstations in your laptop? First time to do that. Okay. So, um, okay, please do get it installed because you will not be able to do the practicals if you don't get install those applications. Okay. Now, fine. We'll do the installation of Windows Server 2019 today. Okay. So I'll be using VMware Workstation for the entire curriculum for creating virtual machines and doing all the demonstrations. Maybe a couple of advanced topics would go for some AWS or Azure platform, but most of the sessions will be covered using VMware Workstation. Okay. So here in the VMware Workstation, if you have, so I'll just show you. This is the interface of VMware Workstation in Windows, and so here you can go ahead on click on File, click on New Virtual Machine, okay, and then you have to select Custom, and then click Next. So this is kind of hardware compatibility. So make sure your hardware compatibility should be on the latest one, okay, and click Next. And then here you have to select the ISO image which you have downloaded. So I have downloaded this my server evaluation edition ISO. So I'll just select that particular ISO to get it mounted. So this server 2019. Okay, and just click on next. And here you don't need to mention any key for the same. So just leave this as it is and leave those entries also as it is. Let me just say, give me some name, some password. Okay, and then click next. If sure, I just want to continue without, and then just give a name. Say my first Windows server. I usually don't keep it in your C drive. It will occupy a lot of space. So do if you have multiple drives in your laptop, so do keep it on other drives. So let's say that for me, I'm selecting the E drive, I have VMs, and then I can create my folder name. Let's say my first uh, Windows VM. Okay, that's it. I just give this name. Okay, and, and Windows VM. Okay, that's right here. Okay, and then click next. And then you have, because I am having the latest BIOS, so I'll be selecting UEFI. And here you have to set the number of virtual processors. You need to give it to the server. Okay. So, uh, so I will take it as two virtual processors and number of cores would be, let's say, I want to give two cores and two virtual processors. Each virtual processor will have two cores. मतलब totally have four. Now, next, then you can mention your memory here. For 2019, at least you require 6 GB. So I have 32 GB of RAM in my laptop. So I would give around 8 gig of RAM. Let's say 8 GB. Nine. Okay, so I've given 8 GB and click next. And then here, this is very important. So you have to select the bridge networking. You will see the networking part on this, setting up the lab. So select bridge networking and then click next and leave this LSI logic as it is. Now I have an NVMe drive, so installed in my laptop, so I can select. It will automatically recommend me to go for NVMe. But if you have an SSD or SATA drive, then it will show you SATA or SCSI. So just select the recommended option, whichever the wizard says. So for me, it's NVMe. I will go with NVMe and I'll create a new disk. And at least for Windows 2019, it's I would give 80 GB. And then here you don't need to split into multiple files. Let's keep it on a single file because we don't have any production network, production data in this, and it's going to be terminated once your demo is done. So, and then if you select allocate all the disk space now, it will occupy the entire disk space now as it is when it creates the disk. But it is not mandatory because if you leave this uh, option unchecked, the disk size will grow according to the data size. So it will not occupy the entire drive space as it is no when you create the disk. So leave this checkbox unchecked, else it will occupy the entire space, and then also put that into single file. Okay. So this is my virtual disk name. Next, and I'll just keep this tick mark enabled and then click on finish. So my VM will be created, and then if you see here, I have it's also got powered on automatically. And let me go and just press enter while the it mounted booted from ISO image. And then let it get booted. This today we'll be seeing plain Windows Server installation, Windows Server 2019 installation, and we'll also see how to add a file server role and know how to create, how to add another disk into the Windows Server 2019 and how to configure it. So let's go one by one. So it is always you have to select desktop experience. You can select standard evaluation or the data center evaluation if you want to go for core edition. So in core edition, you will not get any GUI interface. You will have only one command shell and direct console user interface like VMware. So you will get some basic configurations over there, and all the manageability of the server is done from remotely. So people use SCOM or SSM to manage those nodes, or you can even use remote PowerShell commands to manage these servers. But as of now, we are beginner. We are going to start with scratch. So we will go with the desktop experience as of now, and we'll have only standard evaluation because data center requires much more resources. But as of now, we'll go with standard edition, and that's the evaluation edition because this is not the original version of Windows Server 2019, and as we are under learning process, so we don't require also a license for Windows Server 2019 to study. So we'll go with standard evaluation. The evaluation period for Microsoft Windows is 180 days. Click next. Mm, check the settings. Ah, okay. Uh, this is fine. Please start it. Okay. Because I think some issue with my laptop. Let me try with one of the other server I have. Is that I have a server? So I got one server. So let's try to fix my laptop issue and all. So this is a VMware ESXi server I have. So mm, So this is my VMware ESXi host I have. So I have some 4 machines running. Let me see. I have some space left out. Mm, mm, So we have enough space here. So let me install one more virtual machine so I can demonstrate you. So let's here virtual machine, and then here you can say test VM, and then this is my VMware host. I'm selecting a Windows. I say I think here we have 2016. Next, so let me go to data store one. We have 173 gig space, and then we'll customize the setting. So we'll keep the virtual CPU 2, and we'll have around 8 GB of RAM, 8 GB of RAM, and let's keep this 80 GB, and we'll keep the thin provision. So here we have same option in the different name. Thin provision, it will allocate this space, but the usage of this drive will be only used as per the data consumption, data size consumption. So we'll go with thin provision, okay, and then rest of the configuration will as it is. So here I have to mount the ISO. So what I will do, I will click on data store ISO. I think I have 2016. Okay, so we'll select that. We'll go with specific version 2019 once we start Active Directory. So this is for just for your plain Windows installation. So there is no much difference between 2016 or 19. So it's all same. So we are done with the configuration. Click on next, and it kind of reviews you the entire configuration what you're going to create, and then click finish. So now let's click on this and power it on. So reboot. So I just interrupted the boot sequence. Now it is starting to boot from the ISO image. And here we will again select the desktop experience. Okay. So here English United States, click next, and then we click on install now. And it is almost similar to what we do install on Windows 10 or 11. Okay. So here we'll again select evaluation desktop experience and standard, and I accept the terms and conditions. Click next, and then here we are not going to have any upgrade. So click on custom. So you get this 80 GB space. You can partition between multiple drive spaces, but I'll leave this as it is. And then let's click on next. So this is kind of will deploy Windows Server 2016 in the CSXi host. So whenever you install any operating system in any of your virtualization platform, maybe VMware, Nutanix, Citrix Zen, or Hyper-V, make sure that post installation you have to install the drivers for those virtualization platform to integrate with those device drivers required for the OS. So make sure once your installation is completed, then you can go ahead and deploy the device drivers first step as it is. Okay. It will install the updates if it is connected to internet. Mostly it will quickly finish it up and then it will reboot by automatically. The installation is very quite straightforward, so there is not much to no worry about it. It is very guided, it is very easy, and it is very guided. So uh, there's not much on installation. The major part comes when you're going to configure those server roles and features and how to configure users and rights and all. So we have just installed the Windows Server 2016 Standard Edition. Let it get booted. So when you use Windows VMware Workstation or say VirtualBox or Citrix, when you click inside this console, your mouse will not work all of a sudden, right? So you have to press Control and Alt for VMware, and like this, each tool has its own hotkeys to get the control from the console back to your desktop or your system. There is a hotkey, and that hotkey you have to find out from your respective tools. For VMware, it is Control Alt. And once you install the tools, the VMware tools, then you don't need to press the key. It will switch automatically between the console and the system. Okay. See here, see, seamless. See, in this particular version, it has automatically taken the driver. Let's see. Okay, let me give. So once you reboot, it will ask for the administrator password. Create the administrator password. Okay, and then click finish. So I have installed. Now log in into this particular server. You have to click on Actions, Guest OS, then Control Alt Delete. Okay. So in your VMware workstation, if you just press Control Alt Insert, or same, you can go on Actions and the Guest OS, and then again you get this option to press Control Alt key. So the moment you do this, see when you click on Actions, Guest OS, send, Control Alt Delete. These keystrokes will be sent to the VM, and you will be able to enter your password. Okay. So we have installed our successfully our first Microsoft Windows Server 2016 Standard Edition. Okay, so this is how it looks like when it comes to desktop of your Windows Server 2016. Okay, now if you see here, we have a network interface. Okay, so you have to let me. I want to set first thing you have to do is set an IP address for your server. So I'll go to right click. I'll go to Open Network and Sharing Center. Click on Open Network and Sharing Center, and then go to Change Adapter Settings. And as of now, if you see, there's an IP address assigned uh, from the data center firewall. Okay. So what I will do, I'll give this IP same to this particular instance. Okay. I'll go to properties. I'll show you again how to go to this setting. Okay. So right click on this network icon, open network and settings, similar to what you do in your desktop. Go to change adapter settings, right click this interface and click on properties. And from here, you have to make sure you uncheck the QoS service and uncheck IPv6. We are not going to use IPv6. So make sure you just keep IPv4 as of now. You'll see IPv6 in this no post later. So I'll just assign this IP. Let's say 193.1.0.702 I think should not be a problem. And let's say 193.1.0.1 is the default gateway because that is the firewall's IP address over here. And we have 193.1.0.4, that's your Active Directory server over here. And that's the domain controller I have set in the lab. And then we have 4.2.2.2, or you can set any DNS, public DNS over here. So once you're done, press OK, click close. So it kind of will detect the setting accordingly. And in case if this IP is taken by any other server, then you'll have a pop-up message with the clash IP address clash message. Okay. So as of now, the IP address is not configured with any other node. So the first thing we have set our IP address. The next second thing is we will set a host name to the server. So we have to go to server manager. So this is server manager. Either the moment you boot your system, it will automatically be loaded and it will be in your taskbar. So you have to open server manager, go to local server. This is interface where you can configure your computer name, join to your domain, enable, disable the RDP, all those things you can do. So I'll just change the computer name. That's the second step I'm going to do. So I'll keep this name as a test VM. This is my test VM, and I'll keep rest of the settings as it is. We are not going to do any domain joining and all. We are not going to configure Active Directory as of now. So this is the plain Windows Server, standalone Windows Server 2016. And again, so here, so once you rename it, it'll ask for reboot. So just before doing reboot, I will do a couple of more channel configurations, which I feel it's very important. I would always change the time zone to the Indian time zone, so it should not be US. So let's get it done to Indian time zone, and I think it's all good. And also always you uh, disable this IE enhancement, just temporary before because you have to download some applications. So it will keep on adding pop up to add that particular site into the whitelisting. So if you disable this, it will not ask you again and again. And then to manage this server remotely, you need to enable remote desktop. So you have to click on remote desktop, which is disabled, click on disabled, and then enable this option, allow remote computer to allow remote connection to this computer. Uncheck this tick box. It will not allow you to authenticate if you are enabling NLM. Okay, and then apply and then okay. So the IP address is 12. Remember this, and now we can go ahead and restart this server to apply all these changes. So let's go and restart. Any doubts so far till here, Venu, Shiva?
No, I'm good. Uh, so since I don't have my personal laptop, can we create an VM in uh, for practice purpose?
In VMN? Probably I'm not able to hear you. VMN?
I don't have my personal laptop actually.
Okay,
To
you have
download
your office
VMware.
laptop.
Yep.
So do you have a VMware environment? You have any access to your VMware
Yeah,
environment?
we have. Yep. Right. We have.
Yeah, so you can install and test VM in that from that, and you can do those study purpose. Yeah. So I can help you
Yeah.
to
Yep.
do that. If I know you can do, if you are having an environment with VMware, then of course I know you have enough knowledge to do deploy an OS. So yeah, if you need any assistance from that perspective, then let me know. I will help you out. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So we have done with the configuration. So I don't need to again work from console because I have enabled RDP. So what I will do, I'll go to MSTSC. I'll open MSTSC. I'll give the IP address 193.1.0.12. Mm, so we have not joined the domain controller, so we'll use local, that is the local machine, local administrator, and password should be capital A. The password is A. Okay. Now I have logged in to my virtual machine. Okay. So let me check the VMware agent is properly installed or not. So it will show an VM icon over here. Let's see. So it's still not there. So what we will do, we will first install the drivers for VMware. So the agent driver. So what we will do, you go to click on actions, guest OS and click install VMware tools. You have to first install this. Okay. And then you go here to your server and go to File Explorer. This is a File Explorer. Click on this. Click on this PC. You'll get this VMware tools mounted on your virtual drive and click this run install. So this will install the VMware tools drivers required for the Windows OS to interact with uh, your VMware infrastructure or VMware uh, physical machine. Okay, precisely. So click on next, click on complete, click on next, and then install. So it is very straightforward. So you have to just follow the setup wizard, just choose the proper options, and this will kind of even for VMware Workstation also you have to do the same thing, and this will kind of install your virtual machine and the VMware drivers, required drivers for the Windows Server 2016 operating system. Okay. So once you're done with the installation, again it would ask for reboot. Please reboot it. Don't do it for later because the driver has to be loaded properly. So reboot it so that the drivers are properly loaded. Okay. So just leave it as it is, and it will be back in a moment. So VMware is pretty fast to restart and all. It will, come back very fast eventually. I know you've been working with VMware. This is something you're aware of, but as a part of curriculum, I'm just asked to show you this. So it's up and running now. So let me go to again MSTSC and link to the server. Say so now if you see here, there would be an uh, VMware drivers would have been installed now. And when you get this server manager, so always see these red icons. So make sure you go through these things. Is there any essential services which is not in a stop state? So make sure you are clicking on these no services which is under stop. So these services are not required for me as of now. So I'm just leaving it as it is. So we have renamed our virtual machine. We have enabled RDP and we have set the time zone and we have put no off to the IE enhanced security configuration to just to know if you want to download any applications and all. These are the initial steps to configure a Windows Server 2019. So the one thing which I would like to show you is the about Windows Server 2016 or 19 is the roles and features. Okay, so you want to configure this server as any roles. There may be file server, or maybe no DNS server, Active Directory server. So you have to know open this server manager, click over manage, and then click on add roles and features. Okay. So the moment you click on add roles and features, you get an wizard, and then it's pretty straightforward again. So you start with the beginning, and then you say, I'm going to select role-based or feature-based installation. So here we have a second option called remote desktop service installation. So this is basically for your VDI, or you can say VDI deployment, VDI based role if you want to install. That will kind of deploy your terminal server where you can publish a lot of applications in this particular server, and from here, a lot of users can remotely access those publications directly from their end computing device without installing it, or they can access this server over RDP. Multiple users can access to the server via RDP. That is second thing, and third thing which we call about VDI. So VDI is kind of virtual desktop infrastructure where we will be uploading an base image over here, and from that base image it will kind of deploy multiple VMs as per the number of users, and those users can connect to these VMs as no as for example, I don't want my employees to directly plug in the laptop to my network and use. So what they will do, a lot of people tell them to bring their own laptops, and then they give kind of VDI environment to connect to their office environment. That is one thing. And the second thing is, there are a lot of clients. You are working at a service-based company. There are a lot of clients, and you want to log into your client's environment. Then also, they sometimes provide these kind of VDI environments to you to connect to their client environment. So this is something the option when you select if you're going to install any such services, you have to select this option. Else any other service which you want to or any other role you want to install, you have to select the first role based or feature based installation. Okay, so once you click on next, so here you have one particular server, that is the local server which you have attached. From here, you can also add another server in a pool, and then you can deploy, push from roles from here also. But as of now, we are going to select this local server and then click next. These are the roles as of now. So if you see here, we can explain each. So this is Active Directory Certificate Services. This is part of Active Directory Domain Services. When we see the domain, the AD part, then probably we'll cover these domain services, federation, um, LWDS, and then RMS and all. We will cover those at that point of time. But these are all no are basically for the Active Directory part. Okay. Now we have something called a DHCP server. So you all know, but still I will give you an intro. DHCP server is basically for assigning IP address to your clients. So it will have pool of IP address you will give, and your clients will not have any static IP configured on your client machine. So the server will provide IP address to all the machines which are connected to this particular domain or is part of the same network. Okay, so that is why we use DHCP. And using DHCP, you can also deploy Windows 10 or Windows 11 in your network remotely also using WDS and DHCP and all. So again, DHCP is used for that purpose also. Okay. Now then we have DNS server, domain naming server. So basically, this domain naming system or domain naming server basically kind of a book which is converts your IP address into host name and host name into IP address. Okay, that's the very basic purpose of DNS server is that. And by selecting this particular option, you are going to uh, configure this server as a DNS server. Okay, and when you deploy Active Directory, DNS server by default it is part of the uh, Active Directory setup. Okay, but you can also install standalone DNS server and you can configure the DNS entries, DNS zones, and all those things in a dedicated server. Okay, that is one. Fax server. So this is kind of to send and receive faxes, but as of now, very few organization uses this. Okay. Then we have file and storage service. This is a very key service. So here, if you see, there are a lot of sub-services associated with this files and storage services. Okay. Now, talking about file services, here we have, give me a sec. Okay. So in file and iSCSI services, you have file server. So if you want to configure this server as a file server, so here you'll be selecting this option. And then we have branch cache. For example, this server is kind of an caching server for your subsequent network or maybe an external network. Then this particular server can act as a branch cache. And then again you have data deduplication. So basically, to copy identical copies of your data on a different volumes, what you call a deduplication. Again, you have DFS. That is, a DFS is basically for your for your to give an unique share name where you can add multiple file shares inside this particular unique name, and then so that users can access those file shares using that unique name, domain name slash share name. That is how it is. And then you can create multiple shares across multiple servers, not in one server, multiple servers, and there they will have the DFS role, and then all those shares will be referred under one single name, and that is where we use DFS. We will see all this in detail and in practical how to configure DFS, how to configure DFS replication and all. Okay, and then we have file server resource manager to kind of manage all those storage kind of and then reports and also configuring the file share quotas and all in a single console, single point. That is file server resource manager. We have VSS. This is basically for snapshot volume shadow snapshot. So basically, this is used for backup and used in VSS agent for backupping purpose. Then we have iSCSI. iSCSI we'll see it later. And the NFS is for basically Unix. For example, no, if you enable this, you can share the Unix, share this NFS share, no, based on Unix computers or Linux computers. Okay, and this work folder is for home folder kind of thing. But this I have hardly seen anyone using these work folders in my entire career. Okay, this is something storage services by default installed. And Hyper-V, again, Hyper-V is kind of uh, like VMware. Hyper-V is a platform on top of which you can install via virtual machines. But this is not possible over here. It will be very resource-taking service. So I would always say, instead of if you're going to install VMware ESXi, instead of that you can install Windows Server 2016 or 19 and just enable this Hyper-V role. No other role should be enabled. Just enable this Hyper-V role, and you'll get two more roles: management GUI and PowerShell GUI. So just enable these two roles, and then you can probably deploy multiple VMs on top of Hyper-V using Hyper-V management. So this is for that. Rest of the services, WDS is again for your deployment. The IIS is for web server, RDS for remote desktop, services is RSS for your VPN and other connectivities. Again, WSUS for your patching. So there's a lot of services roles which you can deploy in a single server. You have to decide what kind of role you are going to deploy and how much resource that role will take and how much resource you have in your server. So that is very key thing to know. Key thing to know note down because it is very important. The moment you select the service and deploy it, it might take some kind of resources from your VM or from your physical server, and then should know that how much RAM I have and how much CPU I have and how many rows I'm going to install and what kind of resource these rows are going to take. Okay, so that is very critical. And then when you click next, then you have features. So there are a lot of features over here. We'll see one by one. I'll just go through a couple of features. We'll see failover clustering. We will see NFS client. We will see BitLocker. We will see containers, and we will be seeing GPMS, and we will see um, IP client. We will see IPAM. We will cover this multipath IO, and we will see RAS. Yeah, SMTP, SNMP, TFT, you'll see all these things. Server backup we will cover, storage, server migration tools we will cover. So we will see all those. Most of them we will cover, but there are certain things which are not part of this curriculum. So those couple of no features will not be covered. So I'll let you know when we come to the specific point. And then when you click next, and you have only one server, two services enabled, DSCP and DNS as of now you're selected. And the moment you click on install, it will install these roles on your server, and your server will act as an DSCP and DNS server. Okay. Any doubts so far? Venu, Shiva, are we good here?
Yes. So when we are adding roles and features, we have two
Mhm.
options, right?
RDS
One
and
is one option we could see RDS and VDA. So that VDA feature is like it's act as a Windows server, but multiple users can able to log into
yes,
that
yes,
VDA.
yes, 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 correct.
Okay.
For that,
But
I would
actual
always
VDA VMs
recommend.
are different, right?
No, see, there are a lot of platforms which provide VDI solution. Okay, so it is this is
Oh,
one of the way of doing implementing VDI. Okay, so when you implement VDI
mm,
in Windows Server, you are not actually going to use Windows Server 2011. You can customize an image according to your applications, according to whatever you require for the end user. You can customize the image, and that from that image you can create multiple images, and those images can be pushed to your end users to access those virtual machines, virtual desktops. Okay, so I'm not sure whether I can get an hardware for this. I need to check if someone has some spare hardware. If someone has it, I'll try to demonstrate that also, because it requires at least some
mm,
32, 64 GB of RAM, at least to demonstrate itself, because it will take a lot of resources. Because the moment
okay.
you create image, and then that image will take resource, and then you see, for example, if you are putting 8 GB of RAM for one VDI, let's say, if allocate for a normal desktop, if you are going to at least demonstrate three or four, then at least you need 32 GB of RAM minimum, bare minimum on that hardware to implement. Okay, that is 32 GB purely available,
Okay.
so that you can just install Hyper-V on top of that particular bare metal, and then you can configure your VDI on top of it. So I'll see if I can get one server for a day or so, and then if I get something, then I'll of course try to demonstrate VDI for you if I get it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Venu. Thanks, Siva. So Siva has left. Okay, great. So anything so far? Any doubts? So if nothing, we can wind up this session, and we can see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we can wind up.
Okay. Thanks.
We'll
Thanks,
bye.
Venu, for joining this class.
Yep.
Have a great
Thanks.
day. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you.